You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, GH fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt here. And I want to talk about what's going on with Jason Morgan and his family with this comeback. Is he about to lose legal rights to one of his sons and see the other son turn his back on him? Let's unpack what's going on with Stone Cold and his fractured family. But first, please click subscribe if you have not. Real quick, I just want to mention this little nod that I understand what they were trying to do, but I don't think it's a substitute for the real thing. And what I'm talking about is the note that Brooklyn Quartermain hand-delivered to Jason Morgan while he was in the PCPD interrogation room. It was just a little note of encouragement saying that she believes in him, love mom. It's a note from Monica. Okay, that is no substitute for not having Monica around for her beloved son's homecoming. And I know that Leslie Charlson is having some health issues. To me, though, it was just crazy that they, she's only on recurring. She's not a regular character anymore, but they brought her in for that Finn lawsuit garbage when she's obviously, to me, looks like she's in ill health. She's struggling to get around. She was in the wheelchair. And I do know, like a couple of years ago, I think she broke her knee or something. It was some kind of hiking accident with her dog. At any rate, why bring her in when she has such a limited capacity to work for this Finn garbage when they already knew that Burton was coming back as Jason? Why not save it for her? So this note, while it's, supposed to fill that Monica-shaped void, no, it is not worth the paper it was written on. They need to try and get Leslie Charlson back, and they need to be smart about how they use her since she can't show up on the regular. All right. Back into this. Jason Morgan has two biological sons and then a third guy that he sees as a son and he treats as a son and he helped raise. The first kid Jason was ever involved in raising was Michael Corinthos. If you were watching back in the day, you may recall Carly Spencer lied because she didn't want AJ Quartermain to know he got her pregnant. So she got Jason to lie and claim that he was Michael's bio dad. There was a lot more stuff going on with Tony Jones and all, but I'm just streamlining it so this doesn't turn into a 60-minute video. Michael's original christened name was even Michael Morgan. And then Carly suffered postpartum depression and she basically walked out on them, abandoning Michael to Jason's care. Michael stayed mostly with Jason, who had help from Robin Scorpio for raising him until he was about, I think, a year and a half old, roughly, when Robin ratted out Carly's lies and AJ found out he was really the dad. But in terms of fatherhood, Jason definitely considers Michael kind of his firstborn son. That bond continues to this day. That's why Michael didn't even hesitate to help Jason or to ask his wife to help Jason and to cover for him. Like, he didn't even think about it because of everything Jason's done for him. But a little more, troublesome are Jason's father-son bonds with his two bio sons, Danny Morgan and Jake Weber. And how things are going since Jason's resurrection is pretty interesting. All signs point to a really rocky road ahead for this father and his sons. Although they have Danny and Jake playing close to the same age, there's actually 5 years between them on the show, but they've kind of sourced them up to the same point. Jason's firstborn biological son was Jacob Weber, aka Jake. Liz was married to Lucky when she and Jason conceived him. Jason was with Sam at the time, but they both had issues. She was doing something with Rick Lansing, and then Lucky was on drugs back then. So Sam didn't know it at the time, but Jason and Liz had this one night thing during like a power outage at the MetroCorp. I'm stretching my brain's memory for that. Liz got pregnant. She didn't tell Jason for a long time that he'd gotten her pregnant. She let Lucky assume it was his kid. And Liz and Lucky's marriage was on the road to recovery, and Jason's mob lifestyle was just too risky So even after Liz told him, he caved in and agreed to let her raise the baby as her and Lucky's kid and him not being involved. And Lucky didn't know the truth until later. Jason was in Jake's life as a dad for about a year after she and Lucky split up, after Lucky found out the truth, and before the mob ruined all that, and he backed off and let Lucky go back to raising the kids. So at one point, if you don't remember, Jason's twin, Drew Kane, was helping raise Jake when he was dating Liz back when he had first come to town as Jake Doe and then was believed for a while to be Jason Morgan until Burton came back that time. So from late 2018 to late 2021, after Jason came back and before he supposedly died again, Jake was finally getting to know Jason as a dad and Danny Morgan as a brother. So that 3 years there from 2018 to 2021 is really all that Jake Weber knows of his dad until he came back from the dead, presumed to have shot Dante Falconer. While Liz doesn't seem to suspect that Jason could or would have shot Dante, Jake considers him a top suspect. And remember, that caused a fist fight between Jake and his brother Danny. So despite Jason being a suspect in Dante's shooting so far, I haven't seen Liz display anything but gratitude for Jason's return, happy that he's back for their son Jake, and open-minded and assuming his innocence, not his guilt. Sam McCall had a whole other take on this. She's not happy with Jason at all. Initially, she really suspected that he might have shot Dante, but when Jason told her he didn't, she believed him. She looked him in the eye and she believed him, but that's not the end of it. So, all right, dialing it back, 5 years after Jake Weber was born, Sam gave birth to her son with Jason. He was named for her beloved dead brother, and so that's why he's Danny Morgan. He was born June 1st, 2012. When Danny was born, Sam thought his biological father was Franco, who had staged this twisted rape scene on her and Jason's honeymoon back when James Franco played the part. She and Jason had split by the time she had Danny, and he was taken from her at birth in this weird baby swap scheme. Heather Weber was involved in it back in the Robin Mattson days. Ultimately, she got her baby back, but Jason still believed Danny was Franco's kid at the time Jason was shot on the pier by Cesar Faison, who was in a mask. Was it a Duke mask? Anyway, it was a mask, and then he kicked him off in the water. That happened when Danny was about 6 months old. Right after Jason's presumed death was when Sam found out that Danny really was their son and that Heather had tricked them with a rigged DNA test, but it was too late. He was already gone. So like with Jake, it was Drew Kane back in his assumed to be Jason days who spent a lot of time with the kid. Drew was actually a great Jason in terms of being a father to both of the boys who turned out to be his nephews, but who he was spending a lot of quality father-son time with way back when. So when Danny was 5, the real Jason came back to Port Charles, and then by late 2018, Jason was involved with Sam again, and he was a functional dad to Danny. But then 3 years later, he was presumed dead again in Greece. So basically, each of his sons, both Danny and Jake, have had about 3 of their many years that they can actually remember, because they're not going to remember baby stuff or even toddler stuff, you know. They've had like 3 years with the actual real Jason Morgan, knowing he was their dad before this latest exit and complicated return. And bear in mind, Jason was not planning to come back to Port Charles. He was working off the books for Jagger at the FBI on the Pikeman case, not to protect anybody else, which we had all wondered about, but to keep himself out of prison. And now it looks like one of his sons might decide he doesn't want to be around Jason, and the other son might have his mom blocking their relationship. So will Jason wind up losing them both? When Sam heard from Jason that he allowed Danny to help him when he was staying at the Quartermain Boathouse, risking their son's arrest, Sam completely lost it on him, justifiably so. She believes Jason that he didn't shoot Dante, but really can't believe that he put their son at risk like that. She is angry and horrified. She went off. She yelled at Jason that he was a danger to their son and told him to stay away. But would Sam McCall go as far as getting a court order to block access to his son? Maybe. Never say never. But I don't think she'll need one. If Sam tells Jason, stay away from Danny, he will probably respect her wishes and do that because he is dangerous and he knows that. And Sam told Danny, while she was comforting him and icing his eye where Jake had whacked him back, that he never has to see Jason again and basically called Jason a disappointment. As for Jake, he does not seem interested in seeing Jason at all, and he is not giving him the benefit of the doubt. This week, Jake and Danny had that fist fight about Jason, and the mob enforcer has been back less than a month, and he's already put one son at risk of arrest, caused a brawl between him and his other son. Not exactly top-notch father material. In my humble opinion, the only son that Jason's actually been a good and present father to all these years was Michael. He even went to prison, remember, to protect him when Michael was behind bars for bludgeoning his horrible stepmother to death. This seems just like a really rough road ahead for Jason and Danny and Jake. If I had to guess, I think Danny might defy his mom, Sam, and sneak out and see Jason on the sly because Danny has been doing some dodgy stuff. And, Jason would probably tell Danny, you need to listen to your mom and stay away. But Danny doesn't seem like the kind of kid who's going to listen. As for Liz and Jason's son, she might encourage Jake to give his dad a chance, but I don't think Liz is going to pressure Jake to see Jason if he doesn't want to. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But this time around, Jason's return is murky in a lot of ways, and it kind of reminds me that he's been more absent than present in his kids' lives. I mean, really, honestly, even though he's been a jackhole lately, Drew Kane has been a much more consistent and better influence on these two boys than their biological dad, Jason. We'll see what's next, but please click subscribe if you haven't. Definitely drop your comments on all the Jason daddy drama, and be sure to come back soon. We're talking GH 7 days a week right here on the #1 YouTube Soap Opera Spoilers channel. And as always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.